Walker defense. A signature resurfacing now under Jerry Burns as the Vikings strive toward a playoff spot. Now the uncertainty remains at quarterback, so in the far-reaching shadows of a gloried past. And now the Cowboys are a team in transition whose future appears to be Herschel Walker, and who presently must contend with an unsettled quarterback situation as they seek to refuel a winning tradition. Minnesota Vikings on Thanksgiving Day, and a happy Thanksgiving Day to all of you. From all of us, visit the Dallas Cowboys. We're live at Texas Stadium on a rather cool, overcast day, but nevertheless a good day to play. I'm Pat Summerall with John Madden. If the playoffs started today, this is the way it would be. The Bears, the 49ers, and the Redskins would be in. The wild card teams certainly would be New Orleans, and the other two spots would be a battle between the Minnesota Vikings and the Dallas Cowboys. This game perhaps is more important to Dallas, not to belittle the Minnesota Vikings and their efforts today, but it's perhaps more important to the Cowboys than the Vikings. John Madden, as usual, is here with me. And John, I guess when you start talking about this contest, you talk first about quarterbacks.
Right, and you can't tell Jerry Burns that this isn't the most important thing. As he says, Tommy Kramer is his starting quarterback. He said, but we're going for playoffs here. He said, we're not going for a popularity contest. If he can do it, fine. If he can move the team, great. If not, he said, I'll go to Wade Wilson. He said, we have to get someone in there to move the team.
And the Dallas situation.
Well, of course, we know that Tom Landry is going to start Danny White. I think that's the first thing. Danny White passed the first test. He looked good in the warm-ups today. But I think that the other test is, can they protect him? Can they keep the Vikings off him? If not, I think we'll see Steve Pelluer in there because he's a little better scrambling against a big pass rush. But whether it's Danny White or it's Steve Pelluer, if the Cowboys are going to win, they have to do it with this guy here, Herschel Walker, either by running the ball or by throwing it to him.
We're going to find out soon if it's Danny White or Steve Pelluer, because the Cowboys have won the toss. Chuck Nelson will kick off for Minnesota. Kelvin Martin and Darryl Clack back deep for the Cowboys. Nelson set, and so are we. And we hope it's been a delightful day for you. High kick rather short. It's going to be Martin at his own 10. Outside the 20, 25. It'll be first down for the Cowboys. Gugamos made the stop, a 15-yard return, and there will be the Dallas quarterback, at least in the beginning, Danny White. And he'll face this Viking defense. Martin, Thomas, Stafford Mays, and Chris Dolman. They're the four down people. Martin, Studwell, and Jesse Solomon, the linebackers. Henderson, Lee, Harris, and Joey Browner in the secondary. Walker, right side, nothing. Maybe a yard, stopped by Joey Browner. That's a name you'll hear a lot. The offense, White the quarterback, Walker and Newsom the two runners, Edwards and Renfro the wide receivers to begin with. Up front, Tuine, Newton, Rafferty, Crawford, Kerr, Kevin Gogan, and Doug Cosby. It brings up a 2nd and 9 situation. On Thanksgiving Day, Danny White has never lost. Rod Barksdale split out wide to the right. White back to throw. Outside Cosby. Walker, beg your pardon. Incomplete. Jesse Solomon on the defense.
Yeah, it's interesting the Cowboys start that way against Miami. They didn't complete one pass to a wide receiver. They completed one to the tight end to Doug Cosby, and all the rest of their completed passes were to the running backs.
Most of them to Herschel Walker. That's just what John Madden was talking about, the distribution of the Cowboy passes last week. Out of the spread formation now. Edwards split wide to the left. White from Rafferty to the center. For Edwards deep. And the feet were tangled, no penalty call. Edwards got tangled up with Wayman Henderson. Tripped, fell down, but no flags.
That's where he had the man-on-man. He's looking at there. Wyman Henderson is man-to-man out there on Edwards. And it looked like Edwards pushed him a little, and then maybe Henderson at the back. But I think that's one thing they have to stop calling a penalty on every time. Let those guys play just like that.
Saxon back to punt. his own 20, and he's got some room this time. Away from Saxon. Lewis out of bounds by Vince Albritton. But all the way down to the Dallas 42. 54-yard punt. A return of 38.
Yeah, we always talk about the offense, the defense, who's quarterbacking. But in a lot of games in the NFL, they're won and lost by special teams. And a big return by Leo Lewis starts this game off.
That was a key in the Viking victory last week, a blocked punt. And a punt return for a touchdown by that man, Leo Lewis. Alfred Anderson and Darren Nelson start behind Tommy Kramer. This is Nelson. Right side and hit by Eugene Lockhart. There was some question about whether he'd be able to play or not. He has a deep bruise, but he looked mobile on that one at least. Ed Jones, Brooks, Randy White, and Jeff Cope, the down four. Hegman, Lockhart in the middle, who just made that tackle, and Jeff Rohr, the linebackers. Walls and Francis, the cornerbacks, and Downs and Bates, the safeties. Second down. Kramer back to throw. Has time and gets it out to Darren Nelson. He'll have enough for a Viking first down. Knocked out of bounds by Jeff Rohr. Pickup of 10. Now the Viking offense. Kramer the quarterback, Nelson and Anderson the runners. Wide receivers Anthony Carter and Leo Lewis. Up front it's Zimmerman, Huffman, Loudermilk. Greg Cook has moved into right guard. Tim Irwin and Steve Jordan, a fine tight end. Kramer, as John Madden was saying earlier in the day, they'd like for him to be the starter, but he just hasn't been able to get on track as he did last year. Back to throw is Kramer. Pass was intended and juggled by Anderson, and it's incomplete. Anderson took a couple of pretty good reps, and he's down. Lockhart and Bates with a sandwich.
The thing that Tommy Kramer was talking about is he looked at the tapes from last year, and he found that when he had his great year, he was taking a shorter stride. Now, this year, he's taking a longer stride, and he didn't have the same control.
So it's 13:06 left in the first quarter on Thanksgiving Day. 0-0. Thanksgiving Day, we're at Texas Stadium. The last time the Vikings played on Thanksgiving Day was 1969. Weather conditions a little different. There's the lateral from Page to Marshall. Kramer gets straight ahead to Rick Finney. Eugene Lockhart. Vikings won that game, by the way, over the Lions 27-0 in that driving snowstorm.
That's kind of the way the game should be played. I mean, Thanksgiving Day, everyone, you know, the fireplace, the turkey, and football players out there playing in snow, wet, mud, stuff like that. Not carpet.
Third down and 7. Vikings at the Cowboy 27. Darren Nelson is the lone setback. Kramer operated out of the shotgun, going deep. Leo Lewis, the intended receiver, and he very nearly had 6.
Leo Lewis can run because the Cowboys had double coverage on him. Watch them, they have him inside out. Leo Lewis splits them and outruns both of them. That is speed.
That was Williams and Bates back there with him. Vikings within field goal range. It'll be 44.5 yards out. Chuck Nelson with Greg Coleman, who is the punter, holding. 0-0 so far. But a chance for Minnesota to go ahead. Everson Walls recovers for the Cowboys. It was Michael Downs who got the hand on it to block it.
This is how the kicker saw it. Downs is going to come in from the outside. It's a good snap. The ball gets down there, and watch Downs come in there, lay out, and get that block. And Everson Walls bounced it around and picked it up.
And so the Cowboys escape and 10 at their own 23. Tony Dorsett in the game with Timmy Newsom. Walker is split wide to the left. Dorsett. A couple. Call it 3. David Howard made the hit that stopped Dorsett.
I think that's another thing the Cowboys want to do today is to get Dorsett back in the game. He didn't play against Miami, and they would like to get both Dorsett and Walker in there at the same time. Of course, Walker doesn't like that as much because he likes to be the tailback or running back and not be spread out.
He is spread out to the top of your picture right now. Make it 2nd and 7. That's Dorsett moving in motion. He was in motion. He was headed straight ahead. White is sacked. Ball is loose and the Vikings have it. Joey Browner came up with it. Chris Dolman made the hit on Danny White.
That's the thing that the Cowboys have to handle today is that big pass rush, and that big pass rush from Chris Dolman. He's coming from the outside, number 56. Real good speed, a speed rusher. He was a linebacker who moved to down defensive lineman and could become one of the leading sackers in this league.
And Browner made the recovery. And so the Vikings take over at the Dallas 11-yard line. 1st and 10 from there with 11:30 left to play in the first quarter.
Dolman just run right by Mark Tuinet.
We have Darren Nelson and Alfred Anderson behind Kramer on 1st and 10 at the 11. Kramer fakes. Wide open is Anthony Carter for a Viking touchdown. 11 yards from Kramer. And the Vikings take advantage of that turnover.
You know, and that's the time to go for it. You get that turnover, then you come right in there. That defense is fired up. You give them a play fake that run, and then get your speed coming across the field.
Anthony Carter leads all receivers in the NFC in average yards per catch. That one was only 11, but it was for the touchdown.
Tom Landry said yesterday the 2 guys we have to control are their speed guys. That was one of them. Darren Nelson's the other.
Chuck Nelson for the extra point. And the Vikings take the lead 7-0. Here's the touchdown again.
But we'll see the play fake there. You see that? Holds the linebackers, gets them all there. Anthony Carter starts in the left end, comes all the way across the field, and he was wide open all the way.
And so with 11:25 left in the first quarter, it's 7-0 Minnesota. Minnesota 7, Dallas nothing. 11:25 left to play in the first quarter. Pat Summerall with John Madden on Thanksgiving Day. Kelvin Martin back deep for the Cowboys along with Darryl Clack. Chuck Nelson to kick off for Minnesota. Vikings lead it 7-0. And hammered down short of the 20-yard line, about the 18, a return of 16, hit by Ray Berry. 7-0 Vikings, first quarter. 11-yard touchdown pass from Kramer to Carter.
Let's look at the touchdown again, Pat. Here's Anthony Carter. He comes all the way across. You say, what happened to the free safety, Michael Downs? He comes up on the play fake. Boom! Carter gets right by him. See the play fake? There comes the safety. There goes Anthony Carter.
Danny White gets it out to Kelvin Edwards on first down for a loss of 3.
Hey, one of the big matchups here, Pat, I think is going to be Mark Tuinet against Chris Dolman, because Dolman beat him that first one, and of course that caused the fumble, and that got the Vikings their first touchdown.
Tuinet, we've just been told, John, is injured, will not be back, and Darrell Smith has taken his place. A rookie from Tennessee, 6'5" and 280.
And that's going to be a tough job.
White intended for Cosby. White hearing some boos, which he has heard for the last month. In fact, since the strike, he has been listening to those boos.
Well, you know, he has that wrist thing going, and what happens is he can't bend his wrist, so he can't flick the ball out. And when he throws the ball, sometimes it comes out of his hand. He doesn't even know when the ball leaves his hand.
Really, he's got very little feel in that right wrist. He can't snap it. That's Walker on the move. This is White back in the pocket, this time over the head of Kelvin Edwards. That's the thing he really can't do, Danny White. In a pattern like that, when the ball has got to be zipped in there, he just can't seem to get that done.
No, and I think if he's going to have much more of a career at all, he's 35 years old, but he will have to have that thing operated on in the offseason.
Saxon back to punt. His first punt traveled 53 yards. Leo Lewis brought it back 38. This one is not so good. Bounces to Lewis, who is hit down in a hurry by Jeff Rohr. Was the first man down. A punt of 40. He managed 2 yards on the return, so they net 38. So the Vikings will take over again in pretty good shape. They lead already 7-0.
Eastern rivals both fighting for a major bowl bid. Bobby Humphrey leads Alabama against the powerful Tigers of Auburn tomorrow on CBS Sports.
10:22 left to play in the first quarter. Minnesota leads Dallas 7-0.
I was wondering why people cheer during timeouts. What are they cheering?
I think they might be on camera.
Good point.
Kramer going to work again and goes deep. Headed for Lewis. Incomplete. Covered by Walls. It's been such an unusual season. It seems strange to be talking on Thanksgiving Day about the playoff picture, but it's very valid. If it's finished today, the division leaders would be the Bears, the 49ers, and Washington. But look at all the teams in the NFC who have a shot at those wild card spots. A lot of people watching with interest today.
And if the Vikings win today, there's going to be less and less teams that have a shot.
Here's Kramer back to throw. Has time. Outside to Steve Jordan, the tight end who gets down in Dallas territory. A gain of 15, and that'll be enough for a Viking first down. Jeff Rohr knocked him out of bounds.
Hey, Tommy Kramer had some time there. We'll see the blocking here on Too Tall Jones. That's Tim Irwin going against him. I tell you, he got him stopped and then got that arm going, boom, going back. Let's watch it on the other side on Jim Jeffcoat. That's Zimmerman blocking him there. Good pass protection on the ends. You can't let them get up the field. If you have that, then you can get the ball on those outs.
You can find somebody if you have that kind of protection. This is Nelson hit by Kevin Brooks just as he got the ball from Kramer. No gain. Kevin now starting and playing regularly with the release of John Dutton. They had high hopes for him and still do.
You know, the other guy they have high hopes for is Danny Noonan, who was their #1 draft choice this year. And I think their eventual defense line would have Kevin Brooks playing in Too Tall Jones' spot and someday Danny Noonan playing for Randy White.
That would seem to be what's going to happen. Here is Kramer back to throw. Rushed by Brooks. That time he was hurried. He tried to get it to Rick Finney. But a good rush by Kevin Brooks that time.
I'll tell you, it was a line stunt, and it's an interesting thing. That's how you get Kevin Brooks that way. You see, he starts inside. Too Tall goes that way. Brooks starts inside and comes outside and gets the pressure. So he starts at tackle. Too Tall takes 2 blockers, and then Brooks comes around that thing.
That's how it's supposed to work. 3rd down and 10. A draw play to Nelson. He's got enough for another Viking first down. Bill Bates made the stop. But the darter, Darren Nelson.
That's the thing Tom Landry was saying yesterday. This is one guy we have to control, their speed guy. Darren Nelson in the backfield, and the other guy, Anthony Carter. Of course, we've already seen Carter. He got that first touchdown, and Darren Nelson just got that first down.
At the Dallas 27. Minnesota leading already 7-0. Carter and Lewis wide to the left. This is Alfred Anderson. Flips out of bounds at the 23. Michael Downs made sure he continued out of bounds, a gain of 4 yards.
I can see why he's shaking his head. That was an ugly looking run. He's looking for it to see if they put it on the screen. He just ran out of bounds. What kind of run was that?
Slider.
Yeah, but it's not even wet out there, I don't think. He looked like he couldn't get under control, and the next thing, whap, he's out of bounds.
That'll make it 2nd and 6. Here he is.
Just watch him here at the end here. He just can't. He just goes out of bounds and slides down.
Kramer to Finney. Finney inside the 15. Downs made the tackle, but he got 9 yards. Here's another guy. Weighs 245, and it's really been a surprise.
Well, Jerry Burns likes him. He's a rookie out of the University of Washington, and he has that size as a blocker and to get that short yardage stuff for you. And on that play, he had some quickness. You see him, pop, boom, he was right through that hole.
1st and 10 at the 14. Anderson has replaced Finney. Tommy Kramer still the quarterback. Back to Nelson. Nelson around the corner, still on his feet. Knocked out of bounds at about the 5 by Lockhart and Jeff Rohr.
Hey, that was either a good move by Darren Nelson or poor tackling by Ron Francis. Because once Darren Nelson gets out, watch Francis, he'll come up the right side of the screen. There goes Nelson. Now watch right here. Francis up there ready to tackle him. Boom, gets an arm. He runs right through that. And Nelson picks up another 6 or 7 yards.
As you said, poor tackling. 2nd and 1. And they're at the Dallas 5. That's Finney over the left side. Fumble. And the Vikings come up with it at about the 2. Nelson made the recovery.
That's the thing that you always worry about with a rookie running back in there on the goal line, because these are always tough yards down there. But the other thing is everyone's going to be in there and go punching at the football. See, you try and get a guy to hold him up, then that second guy comes in there and tries to pop the ball out of his hand. That's what the Cowboys did. The only thing is Darren Nelson was standing right there.
Vikings got the ball back. It's 1st and goal from the 1. Allen Rice for no gain. Stopped by Steve Diossi that time. 7-0. Minnesota leads Dallas.
Jeff Rohr did a good job of getting penetration. Once you get down in that goal line, the purple jerseys can't allow the white jerseys to get across that line of scrimmage. That last play, they allowed one white jersey to get there, and that was enough to foul up the play.
Brings up 2nd and goal from the 1. Kramer, the quarterback. It's to Anderson, and Anderson doesn't make it. I beg your pardon, it's Finney, and he didn't get in. Lockhart was the first Cowboy to hit him.
This is good goal line defense. Watch it here from ground level. The purple jerseys going after the white jerseys. They don't get any movement back. And then the back guys can come and dive over. Now, the Cowboys had about 4 guys diving over. You usually have 1 guy. On that play, the Cowboys had 4 divers.
That brings up a 3rd and goal from the 1. Touchdown for Kramer on a quarterback sneak. He barely got in, but he got in.
Well, that was a good call, because what he did is he got there before the divers could get there. If you hand the ball, then the divers have that much room. But watch how quickly Kramer can take the ball and just go right in there behind his center. And now those divers haven't gotten there yet. You see, by the time the divers get in there, Lockhart being the first one, Kramer's already crossed the plane.
Nelson for the extra point with Coleman holding. Trying to make it 14-0. And does. 6 minutes and 15 seconds left to play in the first quarter at Texas Stadium, and the Vikings lead the Dallas Cowboys by the score of 14-0. It's a message from all of us. Happy Thanksgiving. Chuck Nelson set to kick off. Minnesota scoring drive, 12 plays. They went 54 yards. They kept it 4 minutes and 7 seconds. Kramer on the quarterback sneak got the touchdown. Darryl Clack and Kelvin Martin back deep for Dallas. Minnesota, somewhat surprisingly, making it look easy already. 14-0 over Dallas. Cowboys yet to get anything generated on offense or defense. Line drive kickoff goes to Black. And he fields it at the 1. Breaks away from a couple, and Darryl Clack out of bounds at about the 35-yard line, knocked out by Walker Lee Ashley, but a good return. Penalty flag down back at about the 15 could bring this whole thing back.
On the return, number 30, illegal block in the back, above the waist, half the distance, first down.
Let's watch a touchdown again. You can see why a quarterback sneaks a good play. Look, here's a jumper, here's a jumper, here's a jumper, here's a jumper, but they can't get there by the time the quarterback sneak breaks the plane. See, if you hand off, watch all 4 of those jumpers. 1, 2, 3, 4, they can all get there. If you just take it and fall in, they can't.
Penalty on the kickoff takes the ball all the way back to the Dallas 7-yard line, where White hands to Walker. Walker gets out to about the 8. Chris Dolman on the tackle.
Hey, watch Chris Dolman here. You know, he's been a linebacker. This year he's a defensive lineman all year, and this was the thing that he had to learn. 1, to play from a 3-point stance, and 2, to take on a big tackle. I tell you, he did both of those things perfectly.
You play it that way, he's learned that lesson. 2nd and 9. Walker splits out wide to the right. Andy White back to throw, hits Renfro at about the 20, where he slides for a gain of 12 and a Dallas first down. Their first. Carl Lee made the stop. Until that play, Minnesota had 80 yards, and Dallas was in the negative figures.
And not only that, that was the first time that they've gotten a ball to a wide receiver in a couple of weeks.
Dorsett in the backfield now, standing behind Newsom. Dorsett, the ball carrier. Nothing there for him. No gain. Knocked backwards by Henry Thomas.
I'll tell you, watch the play that Henry Thomas makes here. He's 97 right there. He's a rookie who started from day 1. But now watch him take on the center, play right down the line, keep those knees bent, and boom, just explode into that tackle. I'll tell you, this was probably the biggest surprise on this Viking team.
They still say that. He's been very consistent.
Well, I guess he's never played like a rookie.
Reverse coming to Walker, and he's got some room, and he's got some blockers. Walker out to the 45-yard line and out of bounds by Henderson, but a gain of 25.
And that gets the fans going. A big block by their center, Tom Rafferty. Rafferty got out there, and he made a block at about the 35-yard line, and that was a block that sprung him. See if we can watch it. Watch the center. Rafferty starts down. Now watch him. He's going to sneak out there, sneaking down the line. And watch 64. He's going to get the block right there. And that gives Walker the sideline and another 7-8 yards.
1st and 10 Dallas. They got to hurry. Just barely got it off. This is Dorsett. He got a couple. Jesse Solomon and David Howard made the stop. Dorsett got 3.
The one thing they know that if the Cowboys are going to win, they have to get the ball to Herschel Walker, which they've been done. Look, in the last 2 games, 757 yards. 255 have been Walker rushing, 133 receiving, and so he's been 51% of their total offense.
Brings up a 2nd and 7. Cowboys at their own 48. White going deep. Intended for Rod Barksdale. White under pressure. Was hit by Stafford Mays just as he let the ball go.
I think that was a combination of 3 things. 1, Danny White not really having a strong arm. 2, having a bad wrist. And number 3, having a guy hanging on that arm, Stafford Mays.
Those are 3 pretty good handicaps.
Yeah.
3rd and 7. And they're at the 48. Vikings leading 14-0. 3:12 left to play in the first quarter. From the spread. Again intended for Barksdale behind him, and the Cowboys will have to punt.
They're booing here and probably booing Danny White, but there was no one open. That was great coverage by the Vikings because Danny White had time. He had pretty good pass protection. He looked, and couldn't find anyone open.
So Saxon stands back at his own 33. Leo Lewis back at the Viking 10. Lewis signals fair catch, makes it just outside the 20. 31-yard punt.
Let's just look at that 3rd down play. Now this is what Danny White had to look at. He's in the shotgun. You see the motion. Now he's looking. Now see, everything is here. Everything is bunched up. He doesn't have anything in there. He doesn't have one of his guys open. You see, there's still no one open. Look at the coverage here. Look at the coverage in here. So he finally has to go to the short guy. But you have to give credit to the defensive secondary for covering him, or discredit for the receivers not getting open.
And they just haven't been able to get open in the last couple of weeks. Kramer out to Darren Nelson. Nelson taken down by Everson Walls, but very close to first down yardage, almost 10.
I thought Too Tall almost had an interception here. That's just 72. He reads it right now. Look at that. The ball just went right through his hands into Darren Nelson's. Hey, when things aren't going right, they aren't going right.
Too Tall's been having a good year. That's one he'll think about for a while.
That was a good read. He started his pass rush, and he saw what was happening and just flattened out.
First down, Minnesota. They lead 14-0. Lewis in motion. This is Kramer. Outside Nelson, who was open. Tommy Kramer looks sharp, not just throwing, but in the ball handling and the execution as well.
You know, we talked about that earlier, how on Monday he watched tapes of last year, and he found that he had a shorter stride in throwing. And this year, he said he was taking a long stride, and he couldn't get the hand up and over. So he changed it on Tuesday and Wednesday, and feels that he's back now, maybe close to what he was a year ago.
Which was very effective. 2nd and 10. Kramer back. Cowboys getting a little blitz. He gets the ball out to Darren Nelson, enough for a first down. And a gain of 13. They picked up the blitz very effectively.
Well, they did, and then they have, that's one thing that the Vikings have. They have Anthony Carter on one side, Leo Lewis on the other side, and then out of the backfield, they have Darren Nelson, who not only gives them a good receiver, but a good receiver with speed.
Who's also very elusive. 1st and 10, Minnesota at their own 45. Allen Rice and Finney are the 2 backs this time. Right back to work. Up the middle to his tight end, Steve Jordan, who can't hang on. He was open.
Hey, when around, and Bill Bates was hanging on him. You know, Steve Jordan is one of the few players from the Ivy League that's playing in the National Football League. He's from Brown University. In fact, we have two in this game. We have Steve Jordan from Brown, the tight end on one side, and Jeff Rohr, the linebacker from Yale, on the other side. Who would have thought?
Jordan played with your son, I guess.
Well, he played before my son got there, but Jordan is one of the heroes up there at Brown. He's an engineer in the off-season, and he's a real role model. I mean, those are the types of people that you can, when you're looking for someone to say, what should we do? A guy like Steve Jordan is a good guy to look at.
This is a Viking timeout. Tommy Kramer not happy with what he got from the sideline. This, of course, traditionally one of the great weekends in college football, as well as the two Thanksgiving Day games in the NFL. Tomorrow, it'll be Alabama against number 7 ranked Auburn at Birmingham at Legion Field, live at 2:30. And two of the best players in college football, Bobby Humphrey, the running back from Alabama, and Jeff Berger, the Auburn quarterback.
I was driving down the other day. We were coming down in a bus from New York to New Orleans, and we had breakfast in Auburn, Alabama, right where it is. And they were fired up about this game like a week ago.
Of course, there has been an ongoing controversy about where that game should be played. Traditionally, it's been in Birmingham. People at Auburn think they ought to have a home game. They don't consider that to be at Birmingham. The people at Alabama think, well, maybe it ought to be in Tuscaloosa.
I'll tell you, when you get a rivalry like that, you can play them in the parking lot. They don't care. You just, what do they say? Get it on. As they say in fights, the referee sometimes before the fight. They say, okay, get it on. Get it on anywhere.
Well, we'll get it on tomorrow here on CBS at 2:30 Eastern Time. Auburn and Alabama. One of college football's great rivalries. 14-0. Minnesota leads the Dallas Cowboys. Rice and Anderson. The two Minnesota setbacks. That's Leo Lewis in motion. And this is Kramer back to throw. Out in a hurry to Anthony Carter. It is out of bounds by Ron Francis. Anthony Carter looks like with a good solid shot he might break in half.
But they call him ostrich legs. And he just laughs about it. He says I do. He said they make fun of my legs. They always have. He said, but they've done some pretty good things for me at Michigan, in the USFL, now in the NFL.
Got him a touchdown today.
Said they better not laugh too hard. They still have to cover me.
Picked off by Walls, and he is picked off by Lockhart. Walls batted it in the air. Lockhart came up with it.
I think that's something the Cowboys needed. It's just anything to change the momentum. They needed to play, and they get it here from Everson Walls. He gets there, hits the ball, bounces off him, and into Eugene Lockhart. But they needed something to start to turn this thing around. And they got it from Everson Walls.
Boy, you're so right. It looked as if Minnesota was about to tuck this victory away. They were on the move. Walker and Newsom are the running backs behind Danny White.
Pat, as they put Darrell Smith, who's a rookie tackle, in there at left tackle, replacing Mark Tuinane. He has to block Chris Dolman. And since he's come in the game, he's done a pretty good job. Let's watch him. He's right here on the outside, the left-hand side of the screen. You see, he gets into him, drives him out, has a little hold. Has a little hold, and just drives him right by the quarterback.
That was good execution. 2nd and 10 from the 48. 14-0 Minnesota. 1:08 left in the first quarter. Here's White. Back to throw. Gets it outside to Timmy Newsom. Newsom gets across the 50, about the Minnesota 48 for a pickup of 4. Scott Studwell and Jesse Solomon made the stop. less than a minute left first quarter. Vikings leading 14-0. Bring up a 3rd and 6 situation. You asked Tom Landry what kind of year it's been, and he just shakes his head.
Tom thinks that his team and the whole league has been out of sync all year.
White out of the spread. Vikings on a blitz. White up into the pocket, gets it outside of Walker. Should be enough for a first. Joey Browner tripped him up. One of the things that Tom Landry was talking about yesterday about why it has not been a better season for Dallas.
Well, as he said, when your offense scores less than your defense allows, there's going to be a long year. Somehow you have to get that turned around.
Yeah. You're lucky to be 5-5, realistically. 14-0 at the end of 1.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. The heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. And by Radio Shack, the technology store.
Back at Texas Stadium, it's the Vikings and the Cowboys. Pat Summerall and John Madden. Vikings leading 14-0. Dallas with it 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 41. 2 tight ends set up this time. White. For Renfro. Incomplete. Henderson on the coverage very nearly had an interception.
You hear on that, the defense was yelling ball, ball, ball for Wyman Henderson, telling him when the ball was in the air. Renfro tried to make an out and up move where you run out first like you're going to run an out pattern, then you just turn it up the field. Henderson didn't buy it at all.
Danny White is 4 out of 12 for 21 yards. And the Cowboy offense is struggling. 2nd and 10 at the Minnesota 41. Fake to Walker. Pass to Walker. Knocked out of bounds by Jesse Solomon. But inside the Minnesota 20 at about the 19, a gain of 22. Walker with a fake draw and then in the pass pattern.
Well, you see the fake there, and then he just continues. He fakes the ball to him, then he continues right through the line and right to the outside. That's a tough thing. The Cowboys were 2 tight ends, 2 backs, and 1 wide receiver. So they have to make the Vikings think they're going to run, and they fake the play, and they can sneak Walker out.
Barksdale and Renfro split wide to the left. Walker behind White. Now Newsom splits to the right. Walker the ball carrier. To the 15. Pickup of 4, Chris Dolan on the stop.
I think the Cowboys need a score here to stay in this game and change things around. And if they're going to do it, they have to do it with Herschel Walker. And they're trying to get into a pattern now where they can get him the ball on a pass, a play pass, then they can run to him, and then get some mixture, then get the ball someplace else, that type of thing. Get something going.
It'll be 2nd and 6 as Dorsett looks on. Newsom and Walker behind White. Fake to Walker. Outside Newsom. Newsom thrown out of bounds inside the 10 at about the 7 by Jesse Solomon. Gain of 8. It'll be 1st and goal, Cowboys. .02 left to play in the first half with Minnesota leading Dallas 14-0. 1st and goal at the 7 for the Cowboys. Barksdale splits wide left, Renfro wide right. And off to Walker. Penalty marker down as Walker got close. He did get in the end zone. It's signaled touchdown, but a flag is down. one back. Fred Silva is the referee. I think it was on Cosby.
As you say, that Doug Cosby was complaining before Walker got into the end zone. Tom Landry's saying it's tough enough to get something going. We don't need those penalties when we score a touchdown.
Offense, number 84. Holding, 10 yards.
Brings it back to the 17-yard line where it will be still first down. It'll be first and goal now from the 17. 13:57 left to play.
You can see Doug Cosby right here. He's the block that they get it, that they call him on. See, he has to block the outside linebacker. I don't know. I mean, that was tough.
Hand off to Dorsett. Dorsett to the 10. Stopped by John Harris. A gain of 7. They got some of it back.
When the Cowboys were practicing yesterday, when they were in the middle of the field, Tony Dorsett wasn't in there. And then they got down here when they were practicing about the 10-yard line and the goal line, and Dorsett was taking plays. And that was a one play that he ran in practice yesterday. It was from the 10-yard line, the draw play.
And now they take him out, and so it's Walker and Newsom. Second and goal from the 9, just inside the 10. Hammers down just short of the goal line. Almost the same play that he scored on 2 plays ago.
That's the thing about Herschel Walker. Watch him come into the picture here, how his shoulders get square right now. Now he can go straight ahead or make that cut back against the grain. And then when he gets to some blockers, just run over some. Had he not gotten turned around where his feet went into the end zone, that would have been a touchdown.
That brings it to third and goal inside the 1.
Now we'll see if Minnesota has any jumpers.
They got some guys back there who look like they're ready. Walker nudges. White signals touchdown, but nobody else has yet. He was very close. And then he got knocked backward.
Well, the Cowboys have those big offensive linemen in there now. And that's one thing they should be able to do, but they didn't. You can see up on the top, they didn't win the battle at the line of scrimmage. And there was no one there. The guy who finally made that stop was Joey Browner.
Looks like they're going to go, and they are. Fourth and goal at about the 1-foot line. Quarterback sneak or go to Walker?
I think some
White, touchdown.
They did the same thing. You want to get in there quickly. The way to do it is just let the quarterback keep it. And again, before they can, if you just get a little movement in there, and that quarterback can get that ball across the plane. And probably from that distance, that's the best thing they had going.
Danny White got it in. Steve Pallur will hold for Roger Ruzek. They try to cut the Viking lead in half. And do. 11 plays. The Cowboys kept it. 52 yards, a 1-yard run, quarterback sneak by Danny White, and it's 14-7. The Vikings got their first touchdown as a result of a turnover. Touchdown pass from Kramer to Carter. Cowboys just scored after the interception by Lockhart. Herschel Walker has 68 total yards. Pat Summerall, John Madden at Texas Stadium on Thanksgiving Day. Roger Ruzek set to kick off. Neil Gugamos deep for Minnesota.
Don't you like that when those kickers have like one color shoe on one foot and another color on the other foot, like Rusek has there?
I've never figured that out.
Well, I think one is to plant with and one is to kick with, and they're different type of shoes and different type of bottoms, too.
Rusek's kick to Gugamos at the 10. Knocked out of bounds at the 33-yard line, where the Vikings will take it over after a 23-yard return. 14-7. 11:41 left to play in the first half. The Dallas scoring drive, 52 yards they went after the interception. Took them 11 plays, but it's 14-7 now. Tommy Kramer, the Viking quarterback, he is 6 out of 13 for 73 yards. 1 touchdown. That to Carter. 1 interception. Under pressure from Brooks is Kramer. And that's the first sack by Dallas.
Randy White is arguing there that someone held him. Brooks, the thing that Brooks does is he's here. They're going to give him a play fake. He doesn't go for the play fake at all. He just gets the penetration. You see, they go for the play fake. The center tries to get him. He says, "The heck with that. I don't believe it's a run. I'm going for the quarterback."
That'll make it 2nd and 15. Finney and Nelson are the 2 Minnesota runners. Caught him in a shift. This is Finney by Randy White. A loss of 2.
Can feel that the Cowboys are fired up now. Watch Randy White, number 54. He starts in here. He's going to pass rush. He feels draw. He just stands right there and plays off. Watch, he starts in like it's a pass rush. Then he sees it's a draw, just plays off his guard and makes a play. He's reading while he's going. He still looks like he belongs in a pickup truck, though, huh?
I think he stays most of the time there.
Yeah, some kind of cap on.
3rd and 16. Kramer out of the spread. Too tall Jones with the pressure. Darren Nelson screen pass. Ron Francis takes him out of bounds, and the Vikings will have to punt.
Great play by Ron Francis. Remember earlier, Nelson made a move on him, and Francis didn't make the tackle. That time, Nelson went to make the move on him, and Francis just stood his ground, knocked him out of bounds.
Too tall Jones put the pressure on Tommy Kramer. That's Kelvin Martin back deep for Dallas, and Greg Coleman to punt for the Vikings. This one they might do some business with. Line drive kick. To the Minnesota 35. Henderson brought him down. 41-yard punt. A return of 38 yards.
Hey, you said, Pat, when the ball was in the air, it wasn't a high kick, so it looked like a returnable ball. And the big secret there, Kelvin Martin caught the ball, and there was no one within 10 yards of him when he caught the ball. So then you're going to get the big return.
1st and 10 Dallas at the Minnesota 35. Cowboys trailed by a touchdown. This is Walker. One of the things that they say with the new change in philosophy by the Dallas offensive line is that Walker is just not quite used to it yet and has had trouble picking the hole.
Well, the Cowboys used to be a team that would pull and trap and kick out and a lot of different types of blocking. Now they just man or zone block. Everyone just takes off and blocks an area. And sometimes it takes a while to get used to reading that, to find that pick-a-hole type of deal.
Walker got 2 at 2nd and 8. White in the grasp of Henry Thomas. Play pass didn't fool any of the Vikings that time.
Well, it happened happens, you see that Thomas gets penetration. Now what happens here is after the play fake, Thomas gets right up in here. Now when Danny White tries to step up, there's Thomas. You see, they take away, these inside guys will take away any step up. You see, you try and get the step up right there, and there was Thomas.
You can see why they're excited about Henry Thomas. 6'2", 268. He's been a real find.
And he's been a starter from day one. They said he's never played like a rookie.
14. White. Intercepted at about the 1-yard line. Kelvin Edwards was the intended receiver. Interception made by Henderson.
But you're going to see that Danny White has some pressure on him. You see, he can't step up. That was Chris Dolman. 56 was coming from that outside, and as he goes to step up, then he was hit. So that took a little off the ball. Now watch Wyman Henderson here. He's in coverage. He has good coverage, and just that little that was taken off the ball allowed for the interception.
The Vikings will take over at their own 1-yard line. That might have been better than a punt.
The stars are gonna twinkle and shine. How they'll shine.
Little discussion on this play as to whether or not the Vikings should have the ball at the 20 or at the 1.
Well, the Vikings were arguing that Wyman Henderson went into the end zone and they should get it on the 20. But as you can see there, his knee was down, he was down, and the receiver was on top of him, and it was the right call by the official.
So they mark it at the 1. Tommy Kramer and the Vikings, 99 yards away from the other end zone. Kramer. No gain. He's knocked backwards. Alfred Anderson, the ball carrier, met right at the line of scrimmage. He might have gotten a yard. Eugene Lockhart was the first man there.
You know, coming out when you're playing defense, it's just like goal line. And what you do is you want to get low, you want to get penetration, you're playing the run, you're playing the fullback, you have everyone up there. You don't want to let them out on this end like you don't want to let them in on the other end.
Finney. And Darren Nelson, the 2-runner. Out to the 5, a little bit of breathing room for Minnesota. Stopped by Jeff Rohr after a pickup of 4. There's the Dallas defensive coordinator, Ernie Stotner, who looks again as if he could still play.
It was interesting. You see Bill Bates there on the sideline. You wonder why he's not in the game. He did have blood on his pants.
Yep.
He's been in there, but those have been running situations.
There's the handoff to Nelson. He is stopped short of a first down again by Lockhart. He's the first man there. A gain of 2. Lockhart again. There's some doubt about whether he'd be able to play at all because of a deep thigh bruise. But he's got at least showing a lot of mobility today.
But Tom Landry said he made a mistake playing him against Miami. He said he wasn't ready and he shouldn't have played him because in a 4-3 defense, he's the guy that has to make your tackles against the run. And Miami really ate this defense up running.
Coleman standing deep in his own end zone. Martin back deep for the Cowboys. And standing at his home 45 now. And again a good return. Flag down on the play. Scott Studwell knocked him out of bounds. The penalty marker was way on the other sideline and a long way away from the ball.
Well, see, with the hat off, when the official has his hat off, that means that someone went out of bounds.
Right.
And he was marked with his hat. So when he throws the hat, and he's marking with that.
That's where he threw the flag, on the far sideline. Player goes out of bounds. He can't come back and block.
Well, so what he has is he has his hat and the flag.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on number 24, Minnesota, 15 yards from the spot and first down.
before is Wyman Henderson,
Right.
who just had that interception. And we're going to see it had to be something that he did out of bounds.
It was with Everson Wald, Dallas number 24. Whatever happened?
Well, it was on the Cowboys sideline.
So in addition to a good return by Martin, they get an extra few yards because of the penalty. It'll be 1st and 10, Cowboys at the Minnesota 19. 6:51 left to play in the first half. Vikings leading 14-7. Walker and Newsome behind Danny White. To Walker. Walker.
You see how Herschel Walker spun around there? You see how those pads are? How they go all the way down below the 3 and the 4? That's what he does. He tries to give the front of the pads, and then when he spins, watch when he spins here at the end. He wants them to hit side, and right there, the back of the pads, because he said they'll bounce off my front, but they'll bounce off the back of me too. He's one of the few running backs that uses his front and his back.
1st and goal from the 7. Walker again. To the 5. Again, it's Joey Browner, who has tackled Herschel Walker on his last 2 carries.
What a difference a quarter makes. In the first quarter, Minnesota had 117 yards, only 4 in the second quarter. Of course, the lead went with that. And then Dallas came back in the second quarter, and if they get their points here, it can be a tie score with Dallas winning the second quarter and the Vikings winning the first quarter.
2nd and goal from the 5. Again, Walker slips away from one man who hit him in the backfield. That was Doug Martin, and Herschel never had a chance. A loss of 4.
He didn't have a chance, but he made a great move on Doug Martin. Now, Doug Martin was a defensive left end, and he came shooting in the backfield. Now, watch out. He gets across here. There's Martin, and how Walker makes him miss and gets away from that, I have no idea. It didn't do him any good, but it was a nice limp leg. They call that a limp leg.
There were 2 more Vikings right on the scene. 3rd and goal from the 9 now, and they got to put it up. Barksdale and Renfro to the right. White back to throw. It'll be pass interference. It was intended for Barksdale, and he got hit in the back just as the ball got there.
It'll be against number 54, Jesse Solomon.
Number 54, defensive pass interference. First down.
You know, Barksdale was coming in. He was going to do like a pivot in and then go out. Watch 54 right here in the left of the screen. See, Barksdale is pivoting. Then he was going to the outside, and it looked like Solomon hit him just before the ball got there. Of course, there's too many of those penalties. I don't agree with all these pass interference penalties we're getting. You got to let the guys play.
1st and goal from the 6. That's Crosby on the move this time. Is to Walker, and he is hit again in the backfield by Dolman and Studwell before he ever got close to the line of scrimmage.
Jerry Burns has done an outstanding job with this team. You know, during the strike, they lost all 3 of their games. They probably had the worst replacement team in the league. But other than that, they were 6-1 with their regular players.
Dallas takes this timeout. They have 2 left with 4 minutes and 8 seconds left to play in the first half. And the Minnesota Vikings leading the Cowboys 14-7. Saturday, CBS Sports continues our holiday weekend football bonanza. Starting at noon Eastern Time, 3rd-ranked Florida State takes on freshman sensation Emmitt Smith in Florida and the Gators, followed by Notre Dame and Miami. That's all this Saturday here on CBS. 2nd and goal from the 5 at Texas Stadium. Herschel Walker. the first man to hit Herschel, who got 2 yards but didn't get in the end zone.
Vikings are playing very well down here in the goal line. Cowboys are trying to get in behind those big guys they got now. Crawford, Kerr, Kevin Cogan, big 315-pound tackle. But Doug Martin is just slipping them and getting beyond them and getting penetration. It looks like a good matchup, you know, like 315 pounds on 260, but it's not working that way.
Cowboys go with 3 tight ends this time. Here's White. Chase. Touchdown to Walker. Steve Freeman was the closest defender. 3-yard touchdown pass from Danny White to Herschel Walker.
Walker's about 70% of this Cowboy offense today, both running and receiving. There they put him in a slot just to have him run an out pattern and get him the ball. The Cowboys are going to win and move the ball. It has to be with Herschel Walker.
First receiving touchdown of the year for Walker. Roger Ruzick ties it up at 14. 3:24 left to play in the first half, and the Cowboys have pulled even with the Minnesota Vikings.
Who will capture the Heisman? Find out next Saturday on CBS Sports.
Minnesota 14, Dallas 14. Pat Summerall with John Madden. 3:24 left to play in the first half. The Cowboys have just tied it up. There's Bill Bates. We were wondering why he wasn't playing defense a minute ago. Now he's on the kickoff coverage team.
And I'll tell you, if I were a betting man on this Thanksgiving Day, I would bet that he's the first guy down there. I would also bet he's not the fastest guy of those guys, but he'll be the first guy down.
And he'll be involved in the tackle.
He has 1 glove on and 1 glove off. So he knows which hand to hit with.
Short kick by Ruzick, taken by Gugamos. Cowboys down in a hurry. A 10-yard return. Todd Fowler was the first man to hit Gugamos.
Well, it wasn't Bill Bates. You know, someone's going to be the first guy down there.
Well, they're going to have another chance. I think they were offside.
Well, you know that's going to happen. It's going to be a penalty.
26 kicking team. Offside, 5 yards, and a re-kick.
26, Michael Downs. Cowboys are one of the few teams that use their regular starters, either offensively or defensive, on special teams.
You know, a lot of coaches just give special teams the talk. You know, they say that special teams are equally as important as the offense and defense, but they don't give them time in the meetings, and they don't give them the best players and all that. But the Cowboys, as you say, is one of those teams that always have, you know, given it special emphasis and also given it the best players.
This time they'll have to do it from their own 30-yard line. Herschel Walker over on the sideline. Nothing physically wrong.
Look at those shoulder pads. I mean, those pads go from his shoulders to his waist. I bet Bates is the first guy down on this one then.
Ruzick's kick this time goes to the left. That might go out of bounds. And it does go out of bounds at about the 1-yard line. Now they have the option under the new rules to either make him kick again or bring it out to the 35.
You can see the way they're all running. Of course,
Kickoff, out of bounds. Ball will be placed 30 yards from the kick. First down.
But you know that's the thing that they're going to do is take it there.
No re-kick after free kick out of bounds. The ball is spotted 30 yards from the kicking point. And remember, they had been penalized back to the 30. So the Vikings will start at their own 40. You got all that?
Yeah, I do. And it's a way that you don't have to just keep kicking the ball. And those kickers can't aim for the out of bounds anymore.
Reverse to Alfred Anderson. Brought down by Bates, but a good gain. 16-yard pickup on the reverse. And the Vikings move into Dallas territory with 2:54 and the clock running in the first half.
That's a good play. You usually see reverses are run to wide receivers or slot backs. That one was run to the fullback. And that's a lot like the old Statue of Liberty. Remember that?
Except they don't put the ball over their head.
Nope.
Just turn around and take it. Here's Kramer. Pressure. Jordan, the tight end, makes the catch. Brought down by Downs, but a gain of 9.
You wonder why they wet the field down. You see how the field is wet there, and you can see the wet spots and the dry spots. Then you wonder how a guy like Downs can get a good slide like that. You see, he had like 8 yards after he made that tackle. He had an 8-yard slide.
Kramer hurrying, trying to get the play off before the 2-minute warning, and he did. No, he didn't. He didn't. The clock got down to 2 minutes before they could get the play underway, and so that's where we'll stop now. Both teams have 2 timeouts remaining in the first half, and we're tied at 14.
Every day, Jack Taylor and Joe Donovan take the same road home. But today, they went a little out of their way.
Give you a hand.
You make America work.
Here's to you, the clean, crisp taste.
2 minutes remain in the first half. The Vikings and Cowboys in a crucial battle. Tied at 14. Both have 2 timeouts remaining. Vikings have the ball at the Dallas 36. Second and 1. Kramer pump fake. Flags fly everywhere. Everson Walls had bought the fake from Anthony Carter, and he was gone for 6 if he didn't grab him.
Everson Walls had to do that. He knew, because that was going to be a pump fake and up, or an out and up, or a hook and go. And Walls, he started to get by him, and he just grabbed him.
Defensive holding on number 24, 5 yards, first down.
Let's watch it out here. It's right here. You get here, and then he's going to go up and get here. Walls sees it, takes a bite, can't recover, so he just grabs him there. We'll watch the outside, and we'll see the move. He starts to fall down. That's why he did it. He fell down, realized he couldn't cover him. So if I can't cover him, I better grab him.
That was 6. Kramer under pressure. Eugene Lockhart. And Randy White, I believe. Jeff Rohr also swarm around him.
Well, you don't see this a lot, but Lockhart here, that doesn't blitz a lot, and when he does, when he comes, then they don't account for him because they have to get everything else blocked here. So they have the blitz coming here, Lockhart right up the middle. When Kramer goes to step up, that's all he sees. Watch, the center pulls out to block the outside linebacker, and that's what freed Lockhart.
Brings up second down and 16. The ball back at the 37-yard line. Lewis, the man in motion. This time, the protection is good, but Kramer is not. Intended for Darren Nelson. Incomplete. Ed Jones put a little bit of pressure on Kramer.
See, what the Cowboys do is they like to stop you on first down, then they go into that 4-0 defense. And you can see they bring in 3 defensive backs, take out all 3 of their linebackers. So they got the sack, and then they give them the 4-0 defense the next 2 down.
That's what they're in now on 3rd and 16, just the 4-down linemen. Now they show blitz, but the Vikings managed to pick it up. Kramer for Carter. Kenny came up with the ball. Touchdown. What a catch.
When you have a guy like Anthony Carter, you can throw in the double team. Watch 38, Ron Francis. He's there. He's going to have help in behind him, but that doesn't get there, and that was a great catch. I mean, that was a throw that where only Carter could get it, Francis couldn't.
From Tommy Kramer from 37 yards out, the Vikings take the lead again.
Looked like he had to move his head to let it come in over his shoulder.
Chuck Nelson to attempt the extra point with Greg Coleman holding. That makes it Minnesota 21, Dallas 14. Minute 12 left in the first half.
Come on, he's on down the road.
Let's watch Anthony Carter on that again. He's going to be here on Ron Francis. He gets him, gets Francis to the inside, then he makes a corner move on him. Before Michael Downs is going to help, he can't get over. He gets Francis turned around, makes a good move, and goes to the corner. See, Francis is off because Carter has great speed. So he gives him a cushion. But Carter has the speed to break down that cushion. You see where he turned Francis? Turned him. Perfect throw. Downs couldn't get over there. See right there, when Francis got inside, then he went with a turn. That was the thing that beat him. And Downs just didn't have the speed to get over. The free safety, he was watching Carter all the way and didn't get there. So when you have a guy like Carter and a guy like Kramer throwing when he's on, you can still beat a double coverage.
So Nelson set to kick off in the direction of Martin and Darrell Clack. 1:12 left in the first half. A grounder that Clack fields at about the 7. To the 24. Freeman made the tackle. There's the flag down on the kickoff return. No Thanksgiving good wishes in that group. Silva trying to get them apart.
Well, there's some good talk, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hitting and talking.
Find out who the turkey is.
Look at Joey Browner there. He was pounding his fist and talking.
The run back, number 59. Personal foul, slugging to the head. Half the distance, first down.
Looking to the head on Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah, and with the head having a helmet on it.
Jesse Penn was the culprit.
Yeah, if you were going to slug, watch 59 right there. That's Jesse Penn. Well, that's in a blocking motion now. Now there's a slug. But if you're going to slug someplace, you slug to a place that has cloth on it, not helmet.
Or face mask. Andy White out of the spread. Back at the goal line, the screen passes to Walker. Here's another flag down on the play. Ball got away from Walker. Scramble, but a penalty marker down.
Looks like Kevin Cogan got in there and got it. Yep, he just brought it out of there. Number 66. Looks like there's also another penalty against the Cowboys. When you weigh 315 pounds and you jump on a fumble, you're lucky the ball comes out and still has some air in it. They might not play with that ball anymore today.
Offense, ineligible, downfield, 10 yards, still first down.
Cowboys pushed further back. That's their 101st penalty. That's the most in the NFL, and a couple of times that's really killed them.
You know, that's one thing that you don't expect from a Tom Landry coach team or from the Dallas Cowboys, which of course is one and the same, but to lead the league in penalties.
First and 17, the ball back at the 6. 21-14, Minnesota leads. On the draw play, Walker gets just a couple. Doug Martin was not fooled. Now the Vikings start calling timeouts.
Well, they should, because now they can see that the Cowboys are really backed up and they're just going to run out the clock, and the Vikings want to get it and have another shot. And they still have one timeout after this.
Don't forget, at the half, Brent Nerve And a live interview with Jimmy Johnson, the head coach at Miami University, and Lou Holtz. They both are live. Brent will be chatting with them at the half. Right here, it's 21-14 with Minnesota leading Dallas.
Those coaches looked good, didn't they? Looked like they were cleaned up. Had a tie on.
Happy not to be playing today, to wait till Saturday. 50 seconds left to play in the first half. Dallas ball to huddle in their own end zone. 21-14. The Vikings lead it. They have one more timeout left. Danny White back in the spread formation again. To Newsom. Newsom bangs out to about the 15. Neil Gugamos stopped him after a pickup of 9, and Minnesota uses their last timeout.
Yeah, that was a big play for the Cowboys because they got the ball out to the 15. So now their punter is going to have room. You know, we still have that rule where you can fair catch and then get a free kick. But I think that play, that put them out of that area, so we're not going to get it. See, so the Cowboys still have a third down coming up, another play. Minnesota has no more timeouts.
Third down coming up. They need 7 for the first. The ball at the 16. 21-14, the Vikings lead.
I think this would have to be a running play because with the Vikings not having any more timeouts, they could probably just have one more play here.
And be able to run out the clock without having to punt, giving the Vikings a shot at either blocking it or at a punt return. White, though, into the spread formation again. Not a running play. Screen pass to Newsom. Newsom gets out of bounds, stops the clock, gets the first down. Jesse Solomon shoved him out of bounds. He picked up 9. Another very important play.
Well, the Cowboys are going for it now. I think Tom Landry sees with a first down. The Cowboys now have 2 timeouts remaining. So if he can get another couple plays, he may get a shot at a field goal here before halftime. You know, yesterday I'm talking to Tom Landry and the Cowboys. You just got the feeling of urgency that this is really a championship game for them.
Well, with their playoff hopes pretty much resting on what happens here today. White outside to Walker. He gets out of bounds, stops the clock. Joey Browner covering him. He only got 3 yards.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have to get the ball up the field. You realize all this stuff they've done, they're still not to the 30-yard line.
It seems like they're getting something done, but they still got a lot to do.
Well, from here it'd be an 87-yard field goal.
That's a lot to do.
You have a cannon.
2nd and 7. Here comes the Viking blitz. Ball slipped out of Danny White's hand.
That'll be an interesting thing. Is that an incomplete pass or a fumble? His arm was going forward in the passing motion. It's an incomplete pass. If it fell out, it's a fumble. And they've ruled it a fumble. That's one of the problems he has with that wrist. He really doesn't have a feel. He doesn't know when the ball leaves his hand. Watch him here. He's bringing it back, and the ball goes out the backside. I think he could have been hit there by Chris Dolman.
Could have been. But it also looks like it just slips out. No, it just slipped out.
Yeah, it just slipped out. It slipped out the back end. Usually the ball goes out the front. That one went out the back end on him.
Who would have thought? 23 seconds left to play in the first half. And the Vikings with a chance to put some more numbers up there. Kramer out of the pocket, chased by Brooks, and throws it away and stops the clock. And there's a penalty marker down. Flag comes flying. It has to be called against Brooks.
You know, Brooks did his job at the end. He's saying that Tommy Kramer threw the ball away.
And I think the ruling, unless they review it, is going to be just that.
I don't know. I think there could be another flag there. See, they're doing a lot of pointing. Look at them. They're all pointing. That's the good news. The bad news is they're all pointing to different places.
Tommy Kramer, conversation with Fred Silva.
Intentional grounding, number 9. Loss of a down. Be second down.
What do you want him to do? Get killed? The guy has to be able to throw the ball away. Watch Brooks chasing him here. What do you want him to do? Just stand there and hold that thing like that and then be thrown into the ground? Yeah, that's a poor ball.
Kramer over the sideline. Chuck Nelson in to attempt a 48-yard field goal now for the Vikings with 17 seconds remaining in the first half. Minnesota leading 21-14. Nearly blocked. No good. Wide left. Here's the effort. Williams around the corner is the Cowboy who got close. Was not deflected, just wide left. So the Cowboys take over with 11 seconds left to play in the first half, trailing 21-14. White, Newsom, nothing. That's the end of the first half with the score. Minnesota Vikings 21, the Dallas Cowboys 14.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Subaru and the new Subaru XT6, the Sport Magazine Super Bowl MVP Award. Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by Citizen. No other watch expresses time more beautifully.
Pleasant home on this Thanksgiving Day holiday. Irv Cross, your observations about the first half.
Well, you know, the Viking coaches told me this morning that they were going to play smash-face football with the Cowboys today because of that big offensive line up there. You know, they felt they had to shut down the Cowboy running game. I think they've done a decent job of it, and we're saying the kind of football game we expected.
Greg?
Are you kidding? That kid is great. They give him the ball 8 times out of 10 or 4 out of 5. It's a wide open game. Anybody can win it yet.
Hey, Jimmy and Irv, let's turn our attention to college football because this weekend we feature some major attractions on CBS. We'll start tomorrow afternoon with the showdown in the Southeast, Alabama against Auburn in Birmingham, 2:30 Eastern. Then on Saturday, our doubleheader begins at noon Eastern time, Florida State against Florida. And then down in the Orange Bowl, the Hurricanes of Miami against the Fighting Irish at Notre Dame, 3:30 Eastern time, and look who's with us live now. The two fine coaches, Lou Holtz of Notre Dame on the right and Jimmy Johnson. Lou, you weren't there 2 years ago. It was 58-7 in favor of Johnson's Hurricanes. Is this a revenge bowl for Notre Dame? How do you look at that?
Chris, I just don't believe a good Christian school like Notre Dame would ever want revenge. I don't see any reason for us to have revenge. If Miami embarrassed Notre Dame, then it was our fault. We have a great institution. We have a lot of pride, and it's up to us to play exceptionally well against a fine Miami team.
Yeah, Jimmy, 2 years ago, did you run the score up on the Fighting Irish?
No, Brandon, really, I was surprised when that question was asked of me after the game. We played all second and third teamers throughout the third and fourth quarter, and the only thing we did is we ran our offense, and we were a passing offense. Our second team quarterback did throw 4 passes.
Hey, Lou, you look a lot warmer down there in Florida. Did you go down right after last Saturday?
Chris, I want to tell you, I've been in a lot of different places. I have never been that cold in my entire life. The wind chill factor was minus 25 below, and the wind was about 30 to 35 miles an hour on a consistent basis. And it's nice to be down here in Miami because at least the wind's blowing, but it is warm.
Yeah. Jimmy, your team ranked up there now, a chance to win a national championship. You have to get past Notre Dame, South Carolina, and then Oklahoma. The last 2 games, you've been somewhat sluggish. Now, have you been sandbagging, not showing Coach Holtz everything on that game film? Now, what have you been doing down there for 2 weeks?
Well, everybody's been accusing me of running up the score, so I've tried, like the Dickens, to keep the score down. I've tried to keep it close for everybody.
You know, somebody was quoted as saying that you've played a bunch of nobodies. I don't know where you got that quote, Jimmy.
Seems like I heard that from a fella I know on national television.
Nobody's -1. I got to give Florida State a lot of credit. But truthfully, the heart of your schedule is ahead of you, right, Jimmy?
Well, without question, we had an unusual schedule. I think if you'd have spread those teams out, no one would have said anything about an easy schedule. But when you open up the season with Florida and then Arkansas and then Florida State and you finish with Notre Dame and South Carolina, that's a difficult schedule. Now, Notre Dame's had an even more difficult schedule.
Yeah, I think the Irish, Lou, certainly have had the toughest schedule of the year of any major college. Tell me now how the kids bounced back after last Saturday's disappointment. You went right down to the 2-point conversion, failed. Are they going to be ready for Miami? Your view of that?
Well, the loss was probably as disappointing as any we've been associated with, Brent, but I'm not concerned at all about our football team playing exceptionally hard. Our team will play very hard the entire 60 minutes. How good are we? We really aren't a great football team. I think Miami is a great football team because they're outstanding on defense. And I think that's where you win a national championship. I think that's where it all starts. They're a well-rounded team. They can throw the ball. They can run the ball. We have a problem in the fact that we can't put much pressure on the passer, and we have a problem because we can't pass the football. So, you know, but I'm not. I want to say this. When you go through, and he talks about his schedule, but we open up with Michigan, Michigan State, and in a row go Boston College, Alabama, Penn State, Miami, Florida. We have great respect for Miami, but we aren't going to be awed by anybody, including the Chicago Bears.
Hey, Jimmy, you better get a few priests from Miami to stand on your sideline, okay?
I need some help with the crying the blues.
All right, Jimmy and Lou, both of you, good luck. We'll see you down in Miami.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Brent.
All right, on Saturday afternoon, the second game of the doubleheader. Don't miss it, folks. Notre Dame in Miami. And we will continue. We'll take a look at today's NFL activities right after these messages from your local stations. Well, like you, we're sitting back and enjoying the Minnesota Vikings and the Dallas Cowboys. Good football game. Vikes lead it by 7. Great catch by Anthony Carter, wasn't it? Now, earlier today, really, there were 2 games played in Pontiac. In the first half, the Kansas City Chiefs dominated the Detroit Lions, and then the Lions came back, saying goodbye to Coach Rodgers. Bill Kinney had his touchdown passes in the first half. Here he is to Jonathan Hayes from 7 yards out. It was 7-0. And, oh, they sprung a leak there in Pontiac, too. And after that, Kinney went to Paul Kaufman, the former Packer. 12-yard touchdown pass, and it was 14-0. Before the Lions finally came back, Carl Bernard taking the pitch there from Chuck Long, battling his way into the end zone. Key played defensively against Rodgers and the Lions. Came here in the 4th quarter. Great hit there by Griffith, and that stopped them, and Kansas City won it 27-20. And Jimmy the Greek, that ended the Chiefs' 9-game losing streak.
That's true. But you know what? You made a statement about say goodbye to Rodgers, you know. William Clay Ford is a very smart and brilliant man, and, you know, and very warm-hearted. You know, he doesn't fire people too quick.
Well, you know, Irv, one of the reasons why I think that he's under fire is the fact that I've been told that he made an application for the USC coaching job last year, and I don't think that's going to go down very well with the ownership of the Lions.
No, it won't. But, you know, as a matter of fact, other teams are being banded around, too. Atlanta, Cincinnati, as well as Detroit. Those 3 teams, people in the league are saying there might be coaching changes. Now, the Cincinnati story even goes further.
It's worse.
Tony Dungy has been named as a possible head coaching candidate there. Only a rumor. The Bengals deny it. The Steelers deny it. But the rumor has started.
Okay. Let's not forget about Flores, too.
You know. All right, with the Raiders. But right now, it's time for the second half. Let's send you back to Pat Summerall and Big John Madden. Pat, take it away.
All right, Brent, I think if you were with us at the beginning of the show, one of the key things that John Madden felt was that the Cowboys are going to be successful. They have to utilize the many talents of Herschel Walker.
Well, you know, they really don't have any speed on the outside, and Herschel Walker is their speed guy. So if they're going to win, they have to get the ball to him, and they have to move him around. And just look at the different places that he's lined up. he was a wide receiver for 8 plays out there. He was in the slot for 3 plays. And he was at the wing for 5 plays, the fullback for 3 plays, and the tailback for 22 plays. So they don't want the defense to know where he's going to be.
Well, let's don't forget about who's winning the game.
That's right. And then you see what he did from those positions. You see from wide receiver, he had 25 yards running on a reverse, 29 yards passing, and then you see his rushing yards from the different positions.
The Minnesota offense now. Tommy Kramer, 9 out of 17 for 123 yards, 2 touchdowns, both to Anthony Carter. So the key has been the success of Kramer to Anthony Carter.
Coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
At Summerall, John Madden, we're set to start the second half here at Texas Stadium. Roger Ruzek, kickoff, sails to Neil Guggemos. He takes it right at the goal line. Is hit at about the 22 by Steve Diassi. And Everson Walls. 21-14. Minnesota leads.
Watch Bill Bates go down there. You know, sometimes you rush down there and it's not too much fun. Watch, he gets by this block, but watch what's up next. It's what they call the wedge. It's just 4 or 5 guys, and they knocked him right back where he came from.
That's what you call being run over, steamrolled, whatever you want to call it. Tommy Kramer, the Viking quarterback. Back to Nelson. Nelson looking for room, and there is none there. Ron Francis led the defensive play.
This is what Tommy Kramer did in the first half. You see, under 10 yards, he was 4 for 10. He's not a big short passer. Then you look 10 to 20 yards, you get up the field, 4 for 5 for 48 yards. 0 for 2, 21 to 30, and of course 1 for 1. So the big thing with Kramer is he was able to get the ball to his speed guy, Anthony Carter, and 2 touchdowns.
3 catches Carter had. Second down now and 16. The ball back at the 17. Vikings up 5 touchdowns. Kramer spins out to throw. Knocked away by Francis. Intended for Anthony Carter. Good defensive play.
You notice that most of the time the Vikings are going to work, the guy they're going to work on, of course, you're going to Anthony Carter, but they're also trying to work on the rookie Ron Francis, who I think is a real good cornerback in this league, and someday is going to be a top one. When you're a rookie, they're going to give you all the different looks.
They always have. Just that word rookie makes them want to go to work on you. Third down now. 16. Kramer back to throw. Under pressure, ball straight up in the air. Yeah, Jones. All over Kramer.
I'll tell you what, Too Tall, when he gets that thing going and get motoring, he can put a lick on you in the other end. Watch him against Irwin. He starts outside, then he comes back in, and he's coming right up in to Tommy Kramer as he throws the ball.
He was lucky to get it out of there. Here's Coleman. Back to punt. Kelvin Martin back for Dallas, standing at his own 40. Off the side of Coleman's foot again. Martin at the 45. Joey Browner down first. 38-yard punt, 4-yard return. Cowboys will take over at their own 48.
Here's Danny White. You can see from 1 to 10 yards, 8 for 11. So most of his passes have been under 10 yards. You know, 11 to 21 for 3. Over 20 yards, he hasn't completed a pass.
Cody Dorsett in the backfield with Newsom now. White outside to Walker. Herschel gets to the Viking 40. Henderson knocked him out of bounds. Gain of 12.
amazing guy with that size that Herschel Walker has, and to be able to move it that quickly. That's a pretty good package.
I don't think anybody thought, John, that he was going to turn out to be the receiver he's turned out to be.
When you get a great athlete like that, even though he hasn't been a receiver, you usually have a pretty good shot at teaching him how to be one.
Here's Dorsett to the 35. Gain of 4. Scott Studwell came out to make the stop. The Vikings slow getting up. Paul McDonald, the third Dallas Cowboy quarterback, signaling the plays. That's Scott Pelluer on the left, McDonald on the right.
You just line up on either side, and then with everyone signaling today, you have to have more than one guy signaling.
Walker split out wide to the left this time. Dorsett in the backfield. To Dorsett. There's nothing there for him. Henry Thomas for a loss of 1.
You talk about Herschel Walker and the Cowboys now, and Tony Dorsett is kind of a forgotten man on this team. And you think of all the great years that he gave the Cowboys, 11 years, and all the yardage that he's gained and passes that he's caught. And the offense is now Herschel Walker's, but for a long time it was this guy.
Oh boy, he was the guy you had to stop.
When we do those games, and everyone would say the first thing we have to do is stop Dorsett.
White gets away from the rush. Throws in the direction of Renfro, incomplete. And Dallas will have to punt.
That's the problem the Cowboys have, is whether it's the wide receivers not getting open or the quarterback not being able to hit him, they just can't get those big third down plays when they have to.
That's an element that's been missing since the heydays of Tony Hill and Drew Pearson.
Well, they have a guy, but of course he broke his leg in training camp, and that's Mike Sherrard.
Here's Saxon at midfield. A knuckler, and it goes into the end zone. Just couldn't quite get down there soon enough to bat it back, and the Vikings will take over at the 20. Good job by their defensive unit. 21-14, Minnesota lead.
Who will capture the Heisman?
Green Bay at Chicago, or Philadelphia, New England. New Orleans goes to Pittsburgh, and St. Louis visits Atlanta. And then the second game, the Giants will be at Washington. That's where John Madden and I will be. Danny Noonan has replaced Randy White in the Cowboy defense. Pitch was back to Alfred Anderson, who broke away from Kevin Brooks, who finally did manage to hang on and get him back. Wade Wilson is now the quarterback for Minnesota.
You know, they said that Tommy Kramer's neck is stiffening up. And I think it's from that shot of Too Tall Jones. Remember the third down play? Let's watch it. Too Tall comes right up the middle here. Now watch the hit that he puts on Kramer. And if anything's going to put something in your neck, it's that kind of hit.
That would make you stiffen up. Here's Wade Wilson back to throw. Noonan on the rush. He gets the ball, however, to Anthony Carter. Complete. Gain of 19.
Well, there's Wade Wilson. He's had a lot of experience this year. He's been playing a lot. Tommy Kramer, remember, didn't come to training camp. He was in an alcohol rehabilitation center. So Wade Wilson got to play then. He missed the first 2 preseason games. Wilson played then. Kramer got hurt in the 3rd preseason game. That's where he had the first of the neck problems. So Wade Wilson has played. So you're not seeing a guy who hasn't played.
Basically, Kramer just had no training camp because of those problems. Wilson to Anderson. Not much there. Gain of 3, perhaps. Jeff Rohr was one of the defenders. Bates, Jeffcoat also there.
You know, Wade Wilson said after last week's game, Kramer was injured in last week's game. He hurt his hand. Wilson had to come in. Then they took him out and put in Rich Gannon. And then they put Wilson back in. And Wilson was saying, you know, the way things are going here, you're always looking over your shoulder, and you can't play quarterback that way. You're afraid every play has to be perfect.
That's always been the case when they've ever tried. Any team's tried to go with two quarterbacks. Here's Nelson. And he could be off to the races. Darren Nelson. Touchdown, Minnesota. Caught by Walls right at the goal line, but a 52-yard touchdown sprint by Darren Nelson.
Let's watch the blocking up front. It's a trap play. And we'll see the block and it springs him. The right guard pulls to the left. In fact, they double-teamed Jeffcoat. That gave Darren Nelson just a chance to get through. And when he got through there, he outruns everyone.
They got Danny Noonan blocked as well. And as you said, double-team Jeffcoat. That makes it 27-14, and now Chuck Nelson for the extra point with Greg Coleman holding, and it's 28-14.
Here it is again. There's a trap. There's a block on Noonan. That creates a hole. And then here's a run by Nelson. Now that was some move that he made there.
52-yard touchdown run by Darren Nelson. Puts the Vikings back in front by 14. 14 now. The Vikings lead with 10:34 left in the third quarter. Chuck Nelson set to kick off. Darryl Clack and Kelvin Martin back deep for Dallas. Will be Clack at the 8. Out to the 30. 23-yard return.
You don't see a lot of long runs in the NFL, so we ought to look at it again. We see the pull in the trap here, start a double team, come off on here in the linebacker, and Darren Nelson just runs off that trap and makes a heck of a move on Michael Downs. You see the off guard pulling, start a double team, come off. Everyone's blocked perfectly. Watch this move.
52-yard touchdown. Cowboys with the ball now at their own 31. Danny White still the quarterback. Hands Walker left side. Jesse Solomon was the first man to hit him. Darren Nelson's day and Herschel Walker. 61 yards rushing, 47 yards receiving. Nelson has outdone him again.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is you always know what you have to stop. Like Tom Landry said, we have to stop their speed. Anthony Carter and Darren Nelson. Now, it's easy to say on Wednesday, and when you come to do it on Thanksgiving, they do, and all you can say is, I told you so.
We knew what we had to do. We just couldn't get it done. Barksdale takes the pass from Randy White, a pickup of from Danny White, a pickup of 21. And a Dallas first down.
Hey, watch Carl Lee, number 39, the corner. He is really sold that that ball's going deep. Look at him. He does a double clutch to get deep. You're not going to get him. You're not going to get him deep. And then what happens? You get your ball in front of him. It was a good move by Barksdale.
Word from the Vikings is that Tommy Kramer has a bruise on his arm. Could come back if necessary. First down, Cowboys at the Minnesota 45. First man to hit Herschel. Pickup of 2. Bring up a 2nd and 8 situation at the Minnesota 43-yard line. 8.5 minutes left to play in the third quarter. The Vikings ahead by 2 touchdowns. 28-14.
in there. Look at him. He's just taking an inside charge. You see, he gets his outside shoulder inside of Darrell Smith's shoulder and then just drives those legs and keep going.
Mishandled the snap. That's Lilja now at center. Rafferty played most of the first half. They've been alternating Lilja with him. And that was the cause for the fumble exchange. Rafferty's back now. Here's White. Pass caught by Kelvin Edwards. An amazing catch. David Henderson on the coverage with a Dallas first down and a gain of 28 yards.
Kelvin Edwards against Miami, he got dehydrated and he couldn't play. They had to take him out of the game. Tom Landry said he just got too excited and he wants him to be more relaxed because he thinks as he gets experience, he can be that big play guy. He stretched out for that one right at the end. He never did regain his balance.
First and 10, Dallas. There's a Minnesota 21. It's back to Herschel Walker. And that pursuit is out there in a hurry for the Vikings, led by Carl Lee. They might have had an idea that Walker's going to carry the ball.
Well, they have the idea, and they're getting all over him. He's having a tough time keeping his clothes on. Look, now you're looking like football, the way, it plays where the 3 and the 4 stretched out and going different ways. Shirt tails hanging out the back. Got a little tug in the front. The way the old running backs used to look.
Second and 11. White has to come out again, and again he is sacked. Stafford Mays. By the Vikings.
Hey, and the thing is, and again, I think that's the coverage. You watch it here. Stafford Mays is going to be right there in the middle of the picture, but Danny White was looking, and at first he didn't have anyone open. There was no one to throw to. And then by the time he thought he could see someone, of course, the protection broke down.
Third and 18. The ball back to the 29-yard line now. Clock running with just over 6 minutes left to play. To Walker. Herschel bangs down to the 20. It'll bring up a fourth down, a gain of 9. Neil Kugamos on the stop, and Ruzick. Minnesota defense has been tough against all runners. Nobody, in fact, this year has gained 100 yards against them. And it does. They keep going like they're going. It looks like that's going to stay intact. Ruzick from 38 yards out is 9 of 10 from this distance. Steve Pallure is holding. He is good again. Hit the upright and bounced in. That makes it 28-17. Minnesota leading the Cowboys. We have 5:08 left to play in the third quarter.
Pat, I've always thought this kicking was easy. Look, you start here in the right hash mark, and you just kick it here over to this post. Now, anyone can kick it straight through, but it takes real talent to hit it here, bank it in. The old bank shot. So you start it on the right hash mark, kick it for the left post, just like this, and then you're going to hit the inside of it, hit it right here, bank it here, whap it into here, and you get 3 points for it.
That does take talent.
That's the way Willie Moscone told me you do it.
So it's 28-17. Minnesota leading with 5:08 left, third quarter. Ruzick's kickoff. Gugamos at the 6. Is cut down just outside the 20. Don't forget, tomorrow CBS Sports continues its holiday weekend lineup of great football when two Southeastern Conference rivals meet in a game that'll have a major impact on the bowl picture. 18th ranked Alabama versus 7th ranked Auburn. It's tomorrow live at 2:30 Eastern Time right here on CBS. Bobby Humphrey, one of the most exciting runners in college football.
And that's a record there. That's the longest bank shot on Thanksgiving Day in the history of the league.
I'm sure you're right. Nelson taken down by Randy White.
Maybe Nelson has to feel that one. Did you see Randy White? He put out that right arm, and that was a hook. Watch Randy White. He's going to hit into his guard. Now watch him come down the line, and watch this right arm that he puts on Darren Nelson. Then takes him down. That was the end of the line.
No gain on the play, 2nd and 10. Wade Wilson back in the pocket. Pass incomplete. Intended for Carter, deflected by Jeff Rohr.
What they're doing is they're getting Ron Francis some help out there in the zone as they're getting their linebacker getting Rohr out there underneath because they know that they're directing most of the passes at Francis today.
28-17, Minnesota leading. Clock now stopped with 4:16 left, 3rd quarter. Brooks is out. Noonan is in alongside White. Wilson out of the spread. Back to throw. With time. Walls with the interception. They intended for Hassan Jones, but Everson Wall caught it right in the pocket.
That's one thing about Everson Walls. You're going to get some on him. He'll fall down as he did earlier and grab a guy. But if you throw too many over there, he's going to come up with the interception. Because one thing, he has very good ability to cover, but the other thing, he can catch the ball.
Got great hands.
Everson Walls is one of those guys you're not going to make a living messing with.
Cowboy first down at the Viking 36. And again, Andy White still the quarterback. Fake is to Walker. Pass to Cosby. Cosby inside the 10 and out of bounds at the 7. Joey Browner knocked him out of bounds. Cosby might have gotten away with a little shoving and pushing.
It looked like as he was breaking loose. It looks like as he was breaking loose that he did have a little push off there. Let's see if we can start it. Here's Doug Cosby here. He's going to come up and across here, and it looks about right here that he gets a little push just before he breaks open. So he starts in. Now he comes up. Now he's coming across. So he has good coverage here. He hit with his right shoulder, bounced the defender off him, and then got open. That's a veteran play.
First and goal from the 6. Cosby's first catch today. Here's Herschel Walker. Hit behind the line again by Chris Dolman. Tell you what, there's something about that number 56 that means you better look out.
You know, Chris Dolman started out as one of those guys, a linebacker like that Lawrence Taylor Bowl, and when they moved him to defensive end, he didn't want it. He says, I don't want to be one of those guys that just run up the field. I want to be a football player. Floyd Peters talked him into it. Then he started getting sacks. Then he started liking it.
Second and goal from the 8. White back to throw. Has to come out of the pocket for Cosby over his head. Covered by Chris Martin.
That's a tough pattern to run down there. I'm surprised they ran it that close because Cosby, they ran it out and up to him. And when you're down in that close, you don't have that much area to run up after you run out.
So that'll bring up a 3rd and goal from the 8. Walker is split wide to the left this time. Barksdale and Renfro to the right. Newsom behind White. Renfro, touchdown. White, with that touchdown pass to Renfro, broke Roger Staubach's record for number of completions in a career. What a time to get it. 4 plays, 36 yards, 59 seconds, following the interception by Everson Wall.
You know, that had to be a great throw to Mike Renfro, because he was double teamed and Danny White had to zip it in there between the 2 defenders.
Here's Ruzic's kickoff to Guggemos at the 3. Behind the wedge to the 33. Michael Downs made the stop for a return of 31.
Let's watch the touchdown again. Here's Mike Renfro. He's going to run the post right here. He's being doubled here and here. Here's Guggemos. I have no idea what he's doing. He just stands there flat-footed, and he doesn't go for the ball. But Danny White makes a good throw right in here. Guggemos looked back at the quarterback, got kicked in the face.
I think he didn't look as if he thought the ball was going to get there that quick. Renfro made a good play as well. Here's Wade Wilson, back to throw, and chased by Brooks and out of the pocket. Wilson takes off and is run out of bounds by Bates. Scramble for no gain. Brooks got loose and flushed him out of the pocket.
This is a tough thing for a defensive back. Watch Bill Bates here. Is it a pass or a run? You see, here you think it's pass, pass, pass. You're playing a zone, and now you realize the quarterback's going to run with the ball. So you go from playing pass defense to get up and force on a run.
Second down. Early in the day, Kansas City beat Detroit 27-20. Wilson back to throw again. Loose is Randy White. Wilson chased by Bates. Finally throws it out of bounds. No flag on the play this time. Randy White got loose.
You know, an interesting thing is Jim Jeffcoat. Watch this. Here's Jeffcoat. Here's Darren Nelson coming out for a pass. Jeffcoat sees him and grabs him here. And that's who Wilson was trying to throw to. But watch the defensive end. He starts up the field. Now watch him turn right here. You see, grab Nelson. Now Wade Wilson couldn't throw to him.
And he had Randy White right at his face. 3rd and 10. Vikings operate from their own 34-yard line. Again, Wilson back. Gets the pass out this time to Carter, and he's got a first down and more. Jesse Penn brought him down, a pickup of 20. And a Minnesota first down.
This time what they do is they put Nelson outside. He goes in motion, and he gets outside of Carter on the left side. And Carter becomes the inside guy and runs that corner pattern. He's a good receiver, Anthony Carter. I like him. I mean, he has moves and speed and fight and spirit in him and all those things.
And he knows how to get open.
You know who his coach was in the USFL? It was Fred Biletnikoff.
Who knew all those things, too. A throwback across the field to Steve Jordan. And Jordan hammers to the 30-yard line. Stopped by Francis. Well-executed play. 17-yard gain. Another Viking first down.
I'll tell you one thing. He got a good block out here. It was the center, Kirk Loudermilk, got out. You know, they fake one way, then they bring their center out. And Loudermilk is the guy that gets out. Watch 63. See, they fake him there. Now they come out. Now you get the tight end and your center 1-on-1. Watch Loudermilk. He got that block, and that freed Jordan.
Straight ahead. Alfred Anderson hit by Danny Noonan. Francis, the rookie cornerback that they've been working on, hurt his shoulder on the previous play, and he's out. Place has been taken by Manny Hendricks.
Of course, they were working over there in their game plan on Francis. Then when you get a substitute, Hendricks, who was also a rookie, then you're going to go to work on him. Well, he's a second-year guy. He was a guy who was a basketball player. Remember that they made a defensive back out of him.
They've done that a couple of times. 2nd down and 9 at the Dallas 28. Wilson looking in that direction. To Hendricks. Pass incomplete. It was to Carter. Hendricks, the defender. And a flag on the play.
They're going to work there anyway. Then they see Hendricks come in, and they just go to work on Carter. See, now, he started, made an out pattern, and then he came back a little. That was a heck of a catch. The thing is, the ball was out of bounds.
Number 73, illegal use of the hands to the face. 5 yards, first down.
Penalty called against Danny Noonan. Yards, and more importantly, a first down.
Now there's a big, strong guy. Bench presses over 500 pounds, that Danny Noonan, and you see, he has a tough time keeping all his parts in the suit.
Tom Landry says his future is all in front of him.
Yes, bulges all over. Look at him. Those arms. Can move a family in, I know.
First down, Minnesota. Handoff straight ahead to Anderson, who nudges it inside the Dallas 20. Stopped by Lockhart. And Roar. He got 5.
I think this is a big drive here as a quarter finishes for both teams, because if they can hold them to a field goal, then they're still within 7 points.
Wilson already over to the sideline to talk with the offensive coordinators. That's the end of the third quarter with a score, Minnesota 28, Dallas 24. And we now pause for word from your local station.